Hey everybody, welcome to the Randall Sports Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Seth Hagen. It's October, sports fans. Isn't it a lovely weekday morning? I'm kidding. They all suck. But I bet you're having a better morning than these guys.
This is what happened. This is even prior to the pregame stretch, and you see the collision that Robinson on the right just gets knocked out cold.
The two absent-minded athletes in question are Brandon Merriweather and Aldrick Robinson of the Washington Redskins. The extra special twosome knocked each other out of Sunday's contest with the Buccaneers, and some might have viewed that as a disadvantage, but was it? Oh, look at all this grass. It's so purty. Rumor has it the duo is already in talks for movie stand-in roles. The stand-in roles for Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in the Dumb and Dumber sequel. Alright, for those of you who watch the show, you know I don't do a whole lot of golf news. There's a reason for that. One, it's not very funny, unless it involves Tiger Woods and a fire hydrant. And two, it's not really my thing. Cup of tea. Coup de maître. Whatever, but for the biggest choke job in Ryder Cup history, I'll make an exception. What happened? Halfway through Saturday, the Americans led 10 matches to 4 on their home turf. Europe finished the day with the last 2 wins, but still entered Sunday with 25-1 odds of winning the entire tournament. My guess is the US did a little early celebrating because very few looked sharp on the final day and their short game suffered. Several different times the US lost the 17th and 18th holes of their matches, and when the big names needed to step up, they were nowhere to be found. One American captain, Steve Stricker, went 0 for 4 in match play, and Tiger Woods also failed to pick up more than half a point through the weekend. I knew Tiger would weasel his way in there somewhere. And was it just me, or did Phil Mickelson look happier each time he lost a hole on Sunday? I understand being a good sport and a gentleman's game, but at times he looked like Justin Rose's #1 fan. Hey, good shot. Tip of the cap to you, good sir. Oh, didn't think you'd make that one. He's really beating me. The bitter taste from this one will linger with the US for a while, and it doesn't get any easier next time as the scene switches back to Europe. Phew, I'm good on golf for another 5 months. Invisible watch, Walmart, very expensive. And it'll take another 6 months for the next baseball season to roll around, so let's take a look at how this one might end up. I'm going to go ahead and assume that the Nationals and Cardinals don't collapse and that the Braves run up against St. Louis in the wild card play-in game. Atlanta will likely have at least a 5-game lead heading into that matchup, but that's fair, right? It's already been determined that Chris Medlin will start for the Braves, who just won their 23rd straight game with him on the mound. Now, I don't want to landmine Medlin, but... don't do it! Okay, but looking at his last 10 wins, he's largely been the beneficiary of subpar opponents. He hasn't seen a lineup like St. Louis, who comes in 4th in batting average and runs scored, but that works both ways and the Cardinals largely won't know how to approach Medlin. Plus, the Braves have rallied around Medlin this season. St. Louis doesn't have that signature dominant pitcher this year, so I think in a 1-game showdown, the Braves should take it. The playoffs are all about the momentum a team can have at the end of the season, and Atlanta has a great opportunity to take advantage of that in a short divisional series. The Nationals are losing steam, having lost 3 of their last 5 series, including a sweep to the Braves in mid-September. Atlanta has also turned its fortunes at home, going 20 games over 500 since the 17-21 start, a stat that is big in 2012. This year only, the low seed opens up the first 2 games at home in the 5-game series, something they have to take advantage of, if the Nationals can keep the #1 seed from the Cincinnati Reds. Also, this is Washington's first year in the playoffs, and since the introduction of the wild card game in 1995, 13 #1 overall seeds have lost in the first round. Experience and a good dose of momentum, I think, swings the Braves into the NLCS. Assuming the Reds and Giants meet in the other NLDS matchup, we're looking at a real clash there. Both teams are riding high, having won their last 11 series combined. What? The Reds narrowly won their season series, but the Giants have been on an absolute tear since Melky Cabrera was suspended. Cabrera would have been eligible to return to San Fran in the NLCS, but manager Bruce Bochy has said he's happy with the current roster. I'll give the Giants the slight edge, but they'll both have similar problems if they face the Braves. Like St. Louis, they haven't faced the better half of Atlanta's rotation. Tim Hudson has had success against both teams, but especially against the Giants. The real X factor is how Tommy Hanson and Mike Minor will react to their first postseason action, and whether they can be viable options. If they can turn in solid work, the Braves bullpen can finish the job. Like many Braves teams before them, the offense has struggled to provide run support at times, and they must turn that corner in order to make Chipper's last year memorable. That said, the Braves and every other candidate makes a strong case for the World Series, but we'll save that prediction for later. Switching to the NFL, Week 4 brought us to the end of the season's first quarter. 2 of the NFL's 3 remaining undefeated teams reside in the South, and that's where we'll start. The Houston Texans have been stout through 4 games and rarely challenged. They've emerged as the league's most balanced offensive team, both running and passing the ball well, while holding opponents to just 14 points a game. However, with those opponents going just 5-11 combined to start the season, Houston's next 3 games against the Jets, Ravens, and Packers may provide a better test to see how far they've really progressed. The Atlanta Falcons also come in at 4-0, and besides a close game with the Panthers on Sunday, have very few chinks in their armor as well. Matt Ryan has the team off to an impressive start, and while the rushing attack could improve, it's actually the run defense that has Atlanta baffled, giving up close to $150 on the ground. They'll get a chance to work out the kinks against Washington and Oakland, then head to a bye week before facing Dallas and the Eagles in weeks 8 and 9. 2 teams have been a pleasant surprise in Washington and St. Louis. Both teams are a respectable 2-2 with a chance to do more. Quarterback Sam Bradford is finally rounding into form with the help of new head coach Jeff Fisher. But in a division featuring the 49ers and the 4-0 Cardinals, they could get lost in the shuffle. The Rams and Redskins played to a fantastic 31-28 finish in Week 2, with RG3 picking up his first ever league win. The second overall first-round pick has been as good as advertised, passing for almost 250 yards a game while gaining 63 on the ground. Griffin's true test will come next in a brutal stretch of games where the easiest contest will come against Trent Richardson, who finished second to him in the Heisman, and Cam Newton, to whom he drew many comparisons last year. Next, we have the bottom half of our Southern collective of teams. At the beginning of the season, we expected mediocrity from some of these franchises, while others are seriously underachieving. The Panthers, Saints, and Buccaneers all make up the latter part of this group. Josh Freeman and Tampa Bay are off to their 4th season together and his 3rd as full-time starter. Freeman led the Bucs to the playoffs in his first full year at the helm, but they floundered since his initial success. Tampa Bay is still in the process of installing Greg Schiano's system, and while the defense has shown improvement, they're having problems shutting people down in the 4th quarter. Freeman and the offense are stalling late in the game as well, and definitely need to improve their 22 points per game average. Still, Tampa Bay has played every game close so far and have a chance to turn the tide and enter the playoff conversation. Carolina also has the talent to fight back from their disappointing 1-3 start to the season. Cam Newton's production has dropped off to some degree from his rookie campaign, and teams are slowly learning how to defend the 2010 Heisman winner. But the Panthers must develop their wide receiver core to give Cam more options other than veteran Steve Smith. Other than a short week blowout loss to the Giants, Carolina has been competitive in each one of their games. If not for a late game slip, they were just 60 seconds away from a road upset of the undefeated Falcons. The Panthers should be able to use that as motivation as their schedule lightens up in the coming weeks. Everyone knew this season wouldn't be easy for the New Orleans Saints without head coach Sean Payton, but who would have predicted an 0-4 start? Besides Payton's absence, the Saints really have no excuse for stumbling so hard out of the gate. There's too much talent on their roster for them not to have taken at least 2 of the first 4, and now they're looking at a season without the playoffs for the first time since 2007. When it comes to the Jaguars, Dolphins, and Titans, expectations were already low. All of their quarterbacks are still young, so there's no reason not to expect more success in the future. Sam Bradford is a prime example of a former college standout that took his lumps and is now taking charge. What I hate for the Titans is that Jake Locker was beginning to look like a franchise quarterback until suffering a bad shoulder injury against the Texans on Sunday, which will sideline him for at least a few weeks. Adding to the irony of the injury was Chris Johnson's first big game of the season, where he racked up 141 yards after combining for only 45 in his first 3 games. And that's the show for this week. Make sure to check back next Monday for Week 6. And as always, stay tuned to RandallSportsReport.com for all your Southern sports needs. So for everybody at RSR, I'm Seth Hagen. We'll see you next week.